Peace, peace, peace. Divine understanding, born of law. You know how we do it, son. We set the record straight. Yeah, it's a lot of shit going on in America. You got the pandemic. You got, I'm not even gonna say a name because to say one person's name, the last one they just killed, this understanding knowledge, the power month, right? So the last one is wisdom cipher. So you'll know from there if you know the lessons. But anyway, the point I'm making is, man, they've been doing this shit since 1555, and the C cipher powers doing what they doing. They've been doing that shit pretty much since 1865, 1863. From 1555 to 1863, because that's still part of the Slave Code Act, and run down the slave, and I'm gonna take a noble person from wherever they were at. They could have been in Africa or America, from Alaska to Chile, or Africa is really all of what they call today, modern day, what they call Asia, Malaysia, the Middle East, Europe, and what they call Africa. All of that is Africa. All right, so let's just keep that real, because that's one continent. And you got the island continent, Australia, and you have, like I said, Alaska to Chile. All right, so the point I'm making is we have been getting attacked and killed and murdered, and mayhem, and the culture and the creed been taken from you, and your identity and your last name and your genetic code, and you've been hacked. Your DNA has been hacked. They hacked your DNA years ago with food, clothing, and shelter, and trauma. Just listen to Dr. Francis Cress Wessling. Listen to Elijah on Yaqub. Listen to Marcus Garvey on the United Movement to bringing together red, black, and green. Listen to the Panthers. There's a lot of different knowledge of self you can get into that can guide us, but that knowledge of self is not the problem anymore. That was a time when we didn't have access to knowledge of self. Now we have access to knowledge of self, and all the people that gave us knowledge of self gave up their physical composition. I always hear people talking about the people who gave their physical composition so you could vote in the American system of politics. But think about the Asiatic original man in the wilderness of North America, from Alaska to Chile, that gave up their physical composition for freedom, and knowledge of self, so that you would be able to go and even have the desire to read J.A. Rogers. People had to give us that desire to read J.A. Rogers, and people had to give us the desire for people like J.A. Rogers to even do what he did. He didn't do it for himself. He did it for his people. Otherwise, he could have just kept all that information for himself. But he did it and made sure you knew that they were telling misnomers. The truth and falsehood strangely mixed. But in the interim, the God had called me, peace to the God, Black Sea, Rakim Black Sea. I hope I said it right this time. I'm pretty sure it's Rakim Black Sea. But anyway, that's why I say I hate to call out names, because then right now in my mind I would be giving out like 1,000 shout outs, so we'll just. But the reason why I called it out is because he asked me about the dietary code, a conglomeration of knowledge of self's dietary code, right? So what I did was, all right, I'm gonna just take pretty much what we're using to certain information we have on knowledge of self, and all knowledge of self has a dietary code. I mean, there is no knowledge of self that doesn't have a dietary code. It just doesn't go together without it. It has to have a dietary code. So with that being said, that you must have a dietary code, we have to figure out what dietary code we're going to use, right? So I just figured out I would take the major players and put it together. So I'll just say that the start of it, the start of knowledge of self, as far as dietary law, a lot of times our people will look in the Bible, maybe. Just depends on which way you're coming from. But say you were going to use Deuteronomy and Leviticus, right? And so the main thing our people eat is either swine, pig, pork, beef, steak, chicken, bird. I mean, there are people who eat reptiles and other different species like amphibians, and they may eat amphibian. They may eat exotic, what they call exotic food, or exotic animals for food, whichever way you want to pronounce it. But the point I'm making is, once damn, what the fuck happened? So we're gonna say, all right, where do you want to start at? Well, let's start in the Bible, because most white people in the wilderness of North America, they study the Bible. And I use that word loosely, black, colored, Negro, Ethiopian, all that. I use that loosely, but just to get the point across, the lambs, wool people who were in the wilderness of North America, colonized by England, they speak English as a foundational language, or Spanish, which is Spain, is right across the river from them. But anyway, in North America, you mostly have English. In South America, you have Spanish and Portugal and Portuguese, right? So we mostly think of the Spanish because we got Mexico right under us, and then the Spanish countries that speak Spanish, those languages are right there. We're like an English country. We speak English, you know. So the point I'm making is most people are reading King James Version. Let me see, I got this one right here. Let's look at this one. It says, it doesn't say, but it's one of those King James Version. I think it says 1611 something. This one is all tore up, so I'm probably missing that part. Yeah, it's gone. I don't see it. This is an old Bible. The back is all falling off of it. But anyway, the point I'm making is we'll just make a quick run. Let me see if I can even look at it right with you. I know if you go into Deuteronomy, you're going to definitely find the food laws. So we'll look through, right? Chapter 2, one of the points you want to look at is chapter 2, verse 9. But that's, just go over that one yourself. Go over that one. Chapter 2, verse 9. All right. And then we'll make the next move should be, oh yeah, Kendu, he put a lot of information on this. No. But I mean, they have this registered next is chapter 5, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. right? So once you get past that, that's more like getting ready for the actual laws on how to eat to live. Because when you put them together, when you put How to Eat to Live, Book 1 and Book 2, African Holistic Health, any of those editions are great. I want to say Dr. Sebi's book, but he doesn't have like I say, a real like book that's his book. They have his information piled together. That's what I've been finding. But all his lectures and all that, I would rather you listen to his lectures. If you could get your hands on the second copy of A Law the Father Speaking, I would listen to that. And I would use Deuteronomy and Leviticus, right? I gave you those other little chapters to bring you up some, but the next one they were on is chapter 10, 16, 17, and 19. That's more dealing with circumcised. But I'm just showing you why Deuteronomy is where the Nazarene Hebrew and the Nazarene under the laws of the Nazarene. That's where we would go. We would go to Deuteronomy and Leviticus, right? And use those laws to offset mankind's food laws. I'm looking. I don't want to leave a dead area, but it's been a while since I went right into the book and looked. I had most of it. I would skip over chapter 16 too. I wouldn't even go into that. And those first chapters that I told you about, that's not really mandatory for you to look at, but I noticed that we went over those a lot, right? Now, another one we went over was chapter 21, starting at 15 all the way to 23, right? This is when we had a class one time with, the combination, because some of this is in red. I know that would have been Kendu El Rahim, Mathematical Law. That would have been his class. And the one in black, that would have been Ramza. We were at where was that at? That was Utica, in between Eastern Parkway and Atlantic Avenue. We was on that side, right? And we also were going to Justice Equality Bookstore. That's those classes. And so I'm just giving you a combination of the class, right? He's like, okay. The Moors would have went to chapter 23, right? And I think they would also went to chapter, if I'm not mistaken, chapter 10. Won't they go to chapter 10? Let me look. I'm going to look right now and tell you. Was it chapter 10? Yes, they like chapter 10. The Nazarenes love chapter 10, verse 16, and from 16 to 19. And because the Nazarenes would be Melchizedek. That's how Melchizedek under the Nazarene Hebrew, the Hebrew laws. And then you have, let me see if this is it. No, that's something else. That was this right here was the Christian Bible study class where they were going into, what did they go into? Chapter 31. They went through the whole chapter for that night, all the way through. All right, I'm going. Okay, now here we go to the part where you're saying they're going to give you genealogy, and actually it's going into the zodiac and all that, and that's chapter 33, right? We connect that to your 357, your masonry and all of that. It'll slide right in there. That's where that's at. Chapter 33 and chapter 34 is going to be the Adab chamber. Those who know, those who don't. But there's an Adab chamber. And in the Adab chamber, they go into chapter 34. All right? So that's the whole thing right there. Now, you can go and look those over yourself and take yourself through it. That should make you well-rounded in Deuteronomy. Right? And if you want to go to Leviticus, right, because it's Deuteronomy and Leviticus. So we would always start off with chapter 19, knowledge born, right? Knowledge born in Leviticus. And then we either go up or down. Right, we go from knowledge born back to knowledge, and then because this is definitely can do. Chapter 18, right? Chapter 18, definitely. Write this down now so you can go do the knowledge, and then we'll build on it too. We can build on it. So basically the footnotes and everything. The black people had the chicken, they had beef, they had pork. That's what they was eating. Different kind of beans. Whatever. Right. So the rule was to reboot the physical composition. So they always start off with that 3-day fast. And then you learn the rules and regulations. If it doesn't have a split hoof and chewer cud, then that's not the red meat that you eat. Split hoof and chewer cud is going to make you go into chapter 23. Right, in Leviticus. You're going to go through chapter 23 in Leviticus for that. And that's going to take you to the next shit. And you're going to go to chapter 25. You can do chapter 26. That should cover you from that end. Right, and then if you go back the other way from knowledge born, you immediately go into knowledge build. And I mean, they went into 15, but not a lot. Chapter 12. And the main chapter, I would think, would be 11. Like, if you go into 11, that's when you start saying, nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or them that divide the hoof, as the camel because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean unto you. See, they start talking like that. So, pardon me. And you'll see something like this. And the swine, though he divided the hoof, and be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you. That's where the Nazarene and the Hebrew and Old Testament people, that's where they're grabbing it from, right there. Now, if you use Deuteronomy and Leviticus, if you're an animal eater, and you use chapter 11, well, you won't slip. You won't slip using that. All right, and then because then you'll understand that the chicken, the cockatrice snake bird, that it's an omnivore. It's not a herbivore, seed and nut. It's not one of those kind of birds. Those birds jump. They got feet like a grasshopper. They jump like that. So it speaks on that too. That's how I knew which carcass and all of that. Here's a good one. And everything whereupon any part of their carcass falleth shall be unclean, whether it be oven or ranges for pots. They shall be broken down, for they are unclean and shall be unclean unto you. See, that's how it talks. Then you could go into 12 too. Chapter 12 will beat them up a little bit. Beat it up. Boom, boom, boom. And you'll understand that it's fish with fins and scales under 20 pounds is pretty much as close as you're going to get to right and exact ocean animals. Fins and scales under 20 pounds. Because you're trying to go with the more vegetarian fish. That's a crapshoot. Because it's in the ocean. It's different. But you definitely don't want to eat the crustaceans, spineless animals. All those are unclean to you. So people ain't just randomly coming up with knowledge of self, rules and regulations, or dietary laws. Now, if you want to go to the knowledge or the foundation, and you go into Genesis, right? That's where you find out about raw food. People who eat a raw food diet, pretty much they're using Genesis, even if they haven't ever read it, and they don't even know about it. They might not even know that it's there. Well, I'm using that because I'm saying the truth and falsehood strangely mix. Yeah, you got them both here. Here's a good example. You got the Old Testament, you got the New Testament. But when the colonizer teaches you the Bible, which is he'll make it truth and falsehood strangely mixed. How do I say that? He'll be like, well, read and bear witness to the New Testament. Read, but don't bear witness to the Old Testament. And they'll use it in the form of, oh, we under grace now. See, that's that truth and falsehood strangely mixed, as if to say that the Hebrews and the Nazarene of that time, when that was made manifest, they stopped going according to Deuteronomy, Leviticus, and Genesis. They stopped doing that. Like how do you do that? Like, how does that work? But anyway, we're not going to get into politics today. I want to get back to the point I'm making, right? So, when I was with and they was trying to show you knowledge of self on the level of the 10% versus the 85%. And then at the end of the day, it comes to who's that mystery God? That's what ends up happening. Who's that mystery God? There is no mystery God. That's what ends up happening. There is no mystery God. They just make you think he's a mystery God. And so now you're going because you don't know where to go and look, and then I got you. You're done. Right? So if you're looking into raw food diet, that's pretty much where it comes from. It's before the flood, right? Before the flood, that's what you get. So you got the cockatrice snake bird walks of it what self. You see how his head moved back and forth. Really what's happening, his head's moving forward and his leg catch up. Because he can move his head that way without moving his leg. But he can't move his leg without moving that head. That's really what's happening. It's the head doing it. His eyes are on the side of his head. And he's a pecker. He likes to peck. And he's an omnivore. If he's in the wild, he's an omnivore. He's not just a seed eater. Yes, you can have your farm chickens. You can clean up farm chickens, pigeons, all of them. You can clean them up and make them just seed eaters. You can do that easily. That's not a problem. You can do that. And then you have a seed eater that you'll be eating. But it is the cockatrice snake bird. Look at those feet. Those feet. Go look at some chicken feet. And then look at an owl's feet, a kite, a hawk, an eagle. They got the same looking feet, that scale on their feet. Look at those other birds. Their feet ain't scaled. It's jumping. They feet look straight on theirs. See what I'm saying? Like that. And look at them, watch. Those little birds that's jumping. People be saying, oh, I thought those was baby birds. No, they not babies. Them are grown birds. They grown up. The babies are in the nest. So, they're just little like that. But look at all the birds on Earth that jump. They're not omnivores. They're seed eaters. You can look. If they're not seed eaters, then they'll be something like a hummingbird or a nectar eater. And there's not a lot of birds that act like a hummingbird. Right? There's a whole lot of hummingbirds. And birds move pollen and all that too, because they be in the trees and they be in the bushes and all that, keeping the insect population. You need the omnivore birds. Just like you need the bats. The only flying mammal that can fly into their own power. You need this part of the ecosystem. That's all it is. But the point I'm making is, but dietary laws have a origin. Then you got I'd Like to Live, book 1 and book 2. You know that. That shows and proves the other part of them hacking you. They hack you with giving you animal food that was for animals that chewed the cud or didn't chew the cud. They didn't care. They didn't really have. But in the old days, in our days, a lot of those lima beans and collard greens and mustard greens and kale, all that is animal feed. It helps the cows and the sheep and the goats. Those is for them. And they have more than one stomach. And grass, they eat grass. You see how their head is down? They're grass eaters. And when they're domesticated, that's what you did. And if you had hogs and all that, you can feed them lima beans and peanuts and roots like potatoes and sweet potatoes and yams and all that. You can feed them that because they're root eaters anyway. They forage the root by the roots. They like to go and dig in the ground with their face and shit and eat that. And they're omnivores because if something is dead, they'll clean it up for the earth. They'll eat it and shit and turn it into shit so it could become fertilizer with the rest of the shit. Right? But the grass eaters come up with the better fertilizer, but the earth can absorb the carcass, the dead carcass. They'll eat bone and everything. Right? Just like when you see those omnivores in the bottom of the ocean, those insects. Those insects in the bottom of the ocean, they're omnivores. They'll eat any organic or inorganic material that they want, that they like. They'll eat it, and they eat a lot of inorganic and organic material sifts through them, and whatever the body can use, it does. So if things are dead and they're decomposed, they can take the protein, fat, and minerals and vitamins and all of that, and hook themselves up with that. That's their job, to clean the sand and all of that. And so you have an ecosystem that's traveling around, but where's your place in the ecosystem? If we're the true and living and we run the planet, it looks kind of crazy. You, the true and living, run the planet. You killing and murdering, eating, and acting like a savage. My God, you'll never raise your vibration doing that. Your vibration's gonna be moving on slow and close to E6. It's not gonna be in. I don't even think you'd be at 6. I think you'd be more at 2, because you still be in wisdom form, water and all of that. You be in that level because you're earthbound. You can't control your electron, proton, neutron. None of us can right now, because he hacked us and broke us down after we already took the fall and fucked our own self up. Because at the end of the day, it's still our fault. You in this position you in now, if you were the leader and the ones running shit, then you must have fucked up. How did he get it if you didn't fuck up? So it shall be written, so it shall be done. Yes, I agree. It had been written. It always written that this would happen, and it even showed and proved why. If you just look at the lesson, it will say it. But regular people who have a regular look at it, they're still questioning why are we in the position we in now, and how do you get out of it? Man, everybody got all kind of ways to get out of it. I see people coming this way and that way and all. But the foundation of what everyone is doing, the foundation, they want to come together. So you can't come together on simple things yet. It's coming, you're along. They always stopping you because there's always one from among us that can galvanize us a little better than the other one. But when they take out the big one, then the little ones have to step their game up and talk more and try to galvanize us as much as we can. But it doesn't always work out the way you want. Sometimes the people who you talking to now aren't the people who you will be talking to. You will be talking to people who are not physically here. The lesson said, usually when you got knowledge of yourself and you born in things, you really born in things for 70 years in advance. So from wherever point you at, you thinking 70 years from now. So if I go from this point where I'm at now, I don't think I'll be here physically 70 more years. It just doesn't look like I'll get there based on what I'm looking at everybody's doing and what's going on. Am I slipping? And not just me as in me, myself, but I'm saying that's what people will be doing, looking. Do everybody think they can get 70 more years out that physical composition that they got right now while we build it, no matter when it is? And then you could tell me, yeah, no, yes, I don't know, whatever the case may be. It's your call, but I'm saying there are remedies. And these remedies in and of themselves, just like knowledge itself, automatically shuts the devil down. It just shuts him down because it is what it is. Now, I'm cross-referencing. I'm not, by no means am I saying run all in and get all into try to be the religious as you can or whatever, but you don't have to be. You don't have to be religious to look at certain books and cross-reference the information. Tell me if they not cross-referencing saying the same thing. If I go into a keto book and they start talking about how they fast, and I go back and look at how to eat to live and I see how he said fast, then I see they're doing the same thing. Because the truth is the truth part, right? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Look at it that way. So you have to cross-reference, jump back and forth. And if you don't want to do that, then I did it for you already. I told you where I got it from before. I told you how I came up with that. I caught the 20 pounds Elijah always said the fish is under 20 pounds and has fins and scales. And the Bible said it's not a fish that you can consume if it doesn't have fins and scales. And that's what it says. And it's supposed to be fins and scales. And the reason why they go for under 20 pounds, because 9 out of 10 times they're not running around here using other fish as their main source of protein and fat. Because they're looking for protein and fat at the end of the day if they're a carnivore. And they're going to eat the vegetables that's in whatever they're eating that eats vegetables. They're going to eat those digested vegetables whenever they catch them grazing. Because they catch them grazing. Right? And so, now you know the rules and regulations based on the Bible and those other books. Like I said, there's more. Earhart got the fasting book. Earhart wrote his book way before these guys. If you go into Earhart's book, you'll see that a lot of old school people who dealt with mucus and all that, leaving the physical. Earhart talked about it. And where Earhart get it? Go look in them old ancient books from Kemet and all them places on when they start talking about dietary laws and medicine and everything and how they fix people. It was all with plants. None of their medicine was based on animal. Every last medicine that they hooked people up with in the old, and I'm talking 10,000 years ago, they had stuff that was way better than this shit we got now. We can't even analyze people good anymore. You need a machine to do it. They used to be able to touch you and do it because they had control of their electrons, proton, neutron. Dude, they wasn't playing. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to take your shit to the next level, I wish that somehow we could have found this out earlier. The whole package. We got pieces, this, that, everybody out there getting it. It took us about 20 years to get to this level where we actually know what to do. You know, people holding back lessons, everybody hiding shit. It was just madness out here. You know, nobody know who to trust. You know, it's not like holding it back because they don't want you to have knowledge. They holding it back because they don't know who's the swine that they're going to give their jewels to and they're going to trample upon them. So, I mean, I ain't blaming nobody. I'm just saying it was a crazy world and it's still crazy. You see what they doing? Ain't nothing changed, so why ain't we changing? See, I got remedies that everybody can do. Of course you can't just be one-sided. You don't think of this as one way of fixing the physical composition. Think of it as the way the universe thinks. Not only is it going to fix your physical composition, but it's something to unify us on. It also destroys Big Pharma and all those places. Big Pharma and all those lobbyist people and all those people that got big money that claim they run the planet. Well, then if you run it, then that means you're telling those officials to kill us the way that they're doing. You're telling them it's okay, do it. We don't care because we've been doing it to them since 1555. It's the only way we could really stay on top is to rule over them like with an iron fist. I mean, what is it? That's what you're saying. So we know that. So now what's the remedy for us? And we have to separate from that ideology and that way of thinking. And you can't do it if you're going to listen to them and listen. You can't listen to nothing they say. Their media, they're lying. Their schools, liars. The education system, full of lies. The judicial system. Oh, God, I don't even have to talk about that. I mean, well, you know, should I go on? All right, that's what I'm talking about. But, like I said, the remedy of all of the different knowledge of self people, they need to really start trying to communicate and negotiate and network with each other. I don't care if our differences are different and whatever. We need this. We wasn't like that before. When I got knowledge of self back in the days, all the knowledge of self people, no matter which order or group or nation or whatever you was from, We would acknowledge each other when we would be out in the street because we wore certain things that you could see, and you would know that if I seen that universal flag, that's the Guards. If I saw the Fez, I knew that was the Moors, and like that. They was doing that back then. If you seen somebody in gear and everything, even the Muslims wasn't acting so crazy like they acting now. And going at us, talking about Allah is a mystery God and you can't be saying that and all. They wasn't acting like that because it was mostly us. We was just getting that knowledge, and everybody was getting whichever one they gravitated towards in those days. I just say that to say that, that's how I was able to get in. That's how I was able to have a body of accumulated facts diverse. You want to diverse because if you the true and living one and your shit ain't diverse, you won't be able to talk to anyone. And you need to talk to anyone because sitting there talking to your 5%, who are the 5%, and you're the 5% and you talking to the 5%, all you doing is either sharpening your sword. Well, what are you sharpening it for then? If you're sharpening your sword, you must be getting ready to go out there amongst the 85 and wake them up in something you got to cut up. All right? Usually you be cutting the devil when you wake up the original man, woman, and child. And so that's part of it. The whole thing is part of it. And it automatically, you don't have to do anything to destroy the devil. Just go by the lessons and it automatically destroys him. Of course, if you don't go by it, it automatically gives him power. It is what it is. I didn't make these rules up. They were there before I was born, physically or mentally, before I had knowledge of any of that. I was telling the young God, I said, that's it. That's pretty much it. I'll hit you with it one more time. The other side, right? We already know you gotta have split hoof and chew a cud. You need to be a bird that jumps. If I'm going to eat bird, if you're going to eat insect, they need to be insects that jump. Only grasshopper and cricket have those kind of legs. You gotta be those locusts. They're vegetarian too. See. The caterpillar is a vegetarian, but he does not jump. He does not have those jumpy legs, as we used to call them when we was young. We used to say, yeah, those jumpy legs. They jump far. Of course, a flea has the same kind of legs, but he is not a vegetarian. See, that's what I'm saying. They gotta have both things. Like, you can't just chew the cud like the Bible said about the camel. It can't just chew the cud. He doesn't have a split up. He got little puffy feet. Walk on the sand. Little pads. Look like little paws type feet. So, he doesn't have the hoof. Nah. See, the horse has a hoof, but it's a hoof, not split hoof. That's what you're looking at. That, see? Rabbit chews a cud, but he got little rabbit feet, little paws and shit. And plus, he eats mostly underground. He's a root eater. All right? He's underground eater. What else? Hawks. They all hawks and eagles and all of those carnivore birds. Right? They got talons. One of the baddest birds on the planet is an eagle, and the next to that would be owls, and then hawks. Because owls, yes, if you're talking about speed, hawk is off the chain. But man, an owl can fly, and you can't even hear him. So it's at night. He got those eyes. He can see everything. And you can't hear his wings. Everybody else's wings you can hear, just that they moving so fast that it doesn't matter if you hear it. Sound is traveling slower than they're moving. So usually when they bagging you, it's that moment. It's that moment of capture. Of course, they don't capture all of their prey. People don't know about how much they miss. That's the fasting part. Spending energy. We don't expend energy anymore to eat. We just go to the refrigerator and eat. You don't build the garden. You don't grow your energy. You don't do that. Just like they try to say that agriculture came in the form of wheat and corn. No, that's not true. First, agriculture was them taking care of the planet. That's what they were doing. They would make sure that the forest was right and exact. And the plants they got were there. And they made sure they cultivated them and all of that. That's what they were doing. And then they started domesticating grain and pseudo grain. Because first they was fucking with pseudo grains. Then they started domesticating grain. But prior to that, they were domesticating the plants that was in the forest. And each group and nation and particular people would do trade that way too. Some people were getting it from the ocean. If they lived near the ocean, they harvest different plants from the ocean. See what I'm saying? That's what they was doing. Because look, they still could harvest stuff from the ocean, but you ain't really gotten they don't really have gardens in the ocean like that. Even though they could do it. You could make the ecosystem back. You could bring it back. It'll help you come back. It's like your body. Your body really wants to be healthy. You make it unhealthy because you eat synthetic food and then get mad at me because I told you that your food is synthetic. It's not real. It's not. It's not real food. That doesn't help you at all. And sure, your body can run off that synthetic food because it's the truth and false are strangely mixed. It's food and not food. Like, you could do it. If you use their pharmaceuticals, you'll be all right. Oh, man. What time is it? Wait, I got to look. Because I know I ran out of time. I went way over what I should have. But, like I said, George and all of them, that was so horrible. The way he was standing on his neck. I was like, wow, that's crazy. I've seen a lot of crazy shit in my time now. That the way those two vigilantes so far I've seen do some real crazy moves and they let it go. The system let it go, and that was the Zimmerman thing and this new one now with the jogger and the construction site and the video camcorder and crazy, and all of them being in the Klan together and. Oh man, and it's it was like a one way in, one way out community. So why was y'all chasing him? He had to come back out that way. He couldn't even get out if he didn't come back. So if he was really doing something, the community could have waited at the gate and then said, we calling the police. And well, I don't know how good that'll turn out, because you could call the police and then you be innocent and they still shoot you. That's what I'm saying. The remedies they have that they say we should use, remedies ain't good. I'm down. I'm like the rest of them. I'm like Martin said when he got to his last speech. He said, man, I think we was better off not joining up with these cats because they're off the chain. If they flip on you when you ain't with them, they're going to really flip if we join up with them. Because after the enemy is gone, they turn around and attack you. And they still never, ever admit that they was wrong by doing whatever they did to the planet Earth. They still want to act like they were right and exact. So we at an impasse. So when you at an impasse, the only thing you can do is do you, because you're not powerful enough in the physical form. You don't have a F-16, F-7. You don't have jets. You don't have bombers. And you don't have nuclear warheads. Really, in real life, you're not ready to attack on anybody in a physical war. And you don't have to. Even a baby can do the knowledge of self thing. I'm just not fucking with you. That's all. Just straight up stop fucking with him. But you gotta really Now fuck with him. You can't be saying, "Oh, I'm Mr. Christian. I believe in Jesus and everything, and I go eat at McDonald's." How does that make sense? How does you supporting corporate America, who's trying to kill you, poison you, doesn't bear witness to your religion, culture, creed, and none of that, has his own religion called Darwin? All corporate America is definitely Darwin. Even if the people in it might be a Christian, but the corporation itself is Darwin. Believe that. Because they down with the school system. And the school system is down with Darwin. They been down. They been flipped over. You just didn't catch on. So, anyway, I'm out. Peace.